everybody.
Hi, Chad.
You got fired.
Chad!
Chad.
So to bring it up.
I said don't bring it up. Why would I tell you to bring it up?
Sorry, Uncle Mo.
She already feels like complete crud.
It's okay, Dad. Yes, got fired, but it's fine.
Here is the nicest young man who works at the coffee shop that I go to. His name is Yusuf.
Not set me up,
No,
Mom.
no, he's much too young for you. No, he wants to be a superhero, and I told him that my daughter was a superhero. He hadn't heard of you, but I gave him your number so that he could call you for advice.
Please stop giving my number out to strangers.
Now, Jen, that Hawkeye guy, what happens to those arrows of his? I mean, does he go around and collect them when he's done?
Cover me.
The U.S. Bureau? What am I supposed to do with this? God, I hope he's got a dongle arrow to make this useful.
Jenny?
Nobody calls me that.
I'm just gonna put this out there. Melanie is a stylist, you know. She could help you.
Let's get this hair more like She Hulk's.
So back to Hawkeye. It's pretty hazardous to leave those things lying around.
Chunky highlights.
Appreciate
chunky
it.
highlights.
DJ, I'm thinking about being a personal trainer. You know, the Hulk is in my veins. You know what I'm saying? I got a little bit of
Now, Jen, there's a couple things I could use your help.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my new She Hulk video. Marvel just released a new trailer with her having a family dinner, explaining a couple big questions that they raised during episode 1. Also, really nice to hear them talking about other big Avengers heroes in the universe. They kind of do that in a lot of different Marvel movies and Marvel Disney Plus series, where you have a lot of casual, like just normal people on the street talking about the Avengers. Shang-Chi's friends at the beginning of that movie even talked about Thanos in the Snap.
We're now living in a world where at any moment half the population can just disappear.
Most of the major stuff around Avengers Endgame is public knowledge at this point. That's why everybody knows about Thanos, the Snap, all the Avengers heroes. They're basically celebrities at this point in the world. But there's a whole bunch of Easter eggs here. We'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. I will be doing videos for all the She Hulk episodes. It's not really clear when this scene takes place during the episode, probably pretty early on. But it's after the trial that she was having at the end of episode 1 where Titania just crashed in and caused all this havoc. The way they played the episode, they made it sound like she actually won that particular case, but apparently she got fired by the district attorney's office, so maybe she wound up losing, or maybe they just hated the idea of her becoming She-Hulk. Either way, they had to create a reason for her to be hired by GLK&H. This person here, he's actually one of the partners at the firm, Holloway. The actual name of the law firm is a big Easter egg for the founding of Marvel Comics in real life. The full name of the law firm is Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway, which is a reference to Martin Goodman. He's the original owner of the company that will become Marvel. Like, he owned Timely Comics that would eventually rename itself to Atlas Comics and eventually renamed itself to Marvel Comics as you know it today. He's also the person who hired a very young Stan Lee. There are Easter eggs for him all over Marvel Comics, Martin Goodman that is. Marvel movies, Marvel Disney Plus shows, like there was just an Easter egg that we spotted during Loki Season 2 in an episode for Goodman Productions, who's an in-universe movie company making B-movies in the 1970s who make this Zaniac movie amongst other movies, which themselves are either based on actual characters from real-life Marvel Comics, super meta, like Zaniac himself here is an actual Marvel character, or they're fake movies with titles that are references to real-life Marvel movies or characters. Lieber is a reference to Stan Lee's real name. He was originally named Stanley Lieber, like that's still his legal name, but for professional purposes, like way back in the day, he created the Stan Lee name. Kurtzberg is a reference to Jack Kirby. That was his original legal name when he was born. He also changed it later in life like Stan Lee did. And Holloway isn't a big reference to a real-life person in Marvel Comics. He's just another partner at the law firm played by this actor here, like this is Holloway. During episode 2, he's probably going to recruit Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk to work for the firm's superhero division and defend the Abomination as like her first real big case. He did the same thing in the comics, basically. But the whole idea is that they hire her to run their new superhero division, defending supervillains and superheroes alike. But when she comes to dinner, you have her father here asking her all these Hawkeye questions, like what happens to all of Hawkeye's arrows, which is meant to be a reference to the Hawkeye series where they very literally answer that question. Kate Bishop literally talks to Hawkeye about that, like what happens to all your arrows, and he's like, this is what happens, I go back and I pick them up. They did have a couple deleted scenes where he was making some of his special arrows. They give you a little bit of that montage. Hawkeye was one of those Disney Plus series that they filmed during the virus and thus ended up having a bunch of big changes because it was a big pause during filming, so they changed a bunch of storylines and moved things around, and there were a bunch of deleted scenes. I've already done several videos about all those, like a lot of Kingpin deleted scenes too, so I'll post links for those in the description below. We'll get plenty more Kingpin during Daredevil Born Again. We're going to see him in the Echo series before that too. He'll be like a really big character during that, just because of the character's relationship with the Echo character. Like Matt Murdock Daredevil is obviously coming back during the She Hulk episodes. Cannot wait to see that happen, but he's also coming back during Echo too. It'll be a little bit bigger of a cameo, but then obviously we have Daredevil Born Again, where it'll be like all just them. The other big connection between She-Hulk and the Hawkeye series are the Tracksuit Bros. We saw an Easter egg for them during the Miss Marvel series too, because that took place in Jersey City, not too far from where the events of Hawkeye were taking place in Manhattan. There was a Tracksuit Bros truck driving through Jersey City in the end credits of all the Miss Marvel episodes, so it just meant that the Tracksuit Bros were active around this area. Like he's starting to amass more and more power, and that's going to culminate during the Daredevil Born Again series. But at least in the footage that we've seen so far, the connection to the Tracksuit Bros on She-Hulk is all through that fake Tinder app that she uses for her dating profile as She-Hulk. When she starts posting on it in the trailer, you see her looking at all the comments. One of the comments is from a Tracksuit Bros profile. Like the Tracksuit Bros are huge fans of She-Hulk. Now that's funny for like a couple different reasons, but mostly I think because the idea that you have a bunch of supervillains doing really terrible stuff, but they love really hot-looking superheroes. Like they'd probably like this with a bunch of other really good-looking superheroes as well too. Like if there were photos of Black Widow on social media, the Tracksuit Bros would probably be all over that too if she were still alive. One of the women of the Avengers is going to make that swimsuit calendar. I'm sure the Tracksuit Bros would probably be like their best customers for all that merch. You also might recognize the person playing her father. If he looks familiar, it's Mark Lynn Baker from the Perfect Strangers sitcom. But they're also playing this show in a comedic kind of way, kind of like Fleabag meets Better Call Saul. That's what the showrunners said were mostly their influences, Fleabag and Better Call Saul. One, because of the fourth wall breaking that you see in Fleabag, but also because it's a mixture of dramatic and really comedic things, as well as Better Call Saul, which is like a pure lawyer show with a little bit of comedy, like really dark comedy, but also that whole aspect where he's dealing with a lot of really, really shady people, which is basically what she's doing, having to defend people like the Abomination and other supervillains. The other big thing that they reveal here is what's going on with the Ched character that they name drop in episode 1. So when the two of them were talking in the car before their big accident, they were talking about all the geniuses in the family, and they mentioned Ched being another one too, making it sound like he was a genius, but I couldn't tell if they were being sarcastic. Because the way he's acting in this clip here, he's giving off much more of a laid-back stoner dude vibe, as opposed to like your traditional geniuses in the MCU like Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, even Shuri. Even though they quit, they tell jokes, they're more like traditional geniuses. The other connection to geniuses, the Hulk characters that a lot of people were asking about, was an Amadeus Cho character, because he's big in the Hulk comics. It's totally possible that they try to eventually introduce that character though, because they're trying to introduce so many new Hulk characters. But just in terms of the Bruce Banner Hulk being around long term, because they did try to pass the mantle briefly, it sounds like Bruce Banner is going to be around well through Avengers 6 Secret Wars, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and we've been talking a lot about World War Hulk arcs in the MCU. So if they were to do a version of Amadeus Cho, it'd be like something a little bit different going on with the character. The other big reveal that they made is that the Titania storyline at the end of episode 1, where like she just crashes into the trial and goes after Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk, they won't actually directly follow up on in a really big way until episode 5. Like Titania doesn't appear again until episode 5. There were also a lot of funny real-world promos that they had with the actress going around in full character, like she was in full makeup, acting as the character, just painting over all the She-Hulk billboards and ads that they have around town. But because the actress was also talking about the Thunderbolts while she was talking about her early arc during She-Hulk, they might also spin up to larger Avengers-level stuff with her character by the end of the series. And I think some of that will flow with what's happening with the Wong character on the series, and obviously the way that they leave the Daredevil character when he comes on too. Like it'll be relatively day-to-day stuff that she helps them with when they first come on, but then it'll become a much, much bigger thing. The mother also mentioned a person she ran into during the day that wants to be a superhero, so I'm also wondering if he's going to be one of the people to come see her later, like one of the minor C or D list supervillains or superheroes. A lot of the ones that we've seen in the trailer, like during the Abominations meetings here, are actually Daredevil villains or Punisher villains, which obviously just reminds you of all the Marvel Netflix characters. Like, of course, they're going to be doing a lot of Daredevil and Punisher-related characters, because most of those characters are coming back during Daredevil Born Again. We already know that Jessica Jones is also going to be coming back during that. I don't know if she's going to show up during the She Hulk episodes, though, but I do think that we will see her, or at least some plot with her during the Echo series, like a teaser, and then for real, like she'll actually come on screen during Daredevil Born Again. No promises on Iron Fist, though. Like, we make all the Iron Fist jokes, like, everybody coming back to the MCU. No, wait, not you, Iron Fist, you sit down. But if you spotted any other Easter eggs during this, just write them below in the comments, and my full She Hulk episode 2 video will post next. Make sure you enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everyone click here for my full She Hulk Episode 1 video, and click here for my full House of the Dragon Episode 1 video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.